everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. It's Laura for the Wow Embossing channel, and I have a really fun card to make today that is cat themed using our coloured embossing powders. So I'm going to be using this gorgeous cat love stencil from acolorfullifedesigns, and I love the way that the cat's tails link together like their hearts. This is just so cute, and I love that you can section off parts of a stencil and really create some fun effects. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be using this selection of embossing powders. So I have Metalline First Frost, which is a lovely pale blue. Then I have Oceanside and Laguna, which were from the recent trio inspired by Meow and Embossing. I've also got Emerald City, which is a beautiful glitter embossing powder, along with All That Jazz, inspired by Catherine Paula, and then Oceanic as well. So these are a mix of embossing powders. Some are opaque, some are translucent, some are glitter, some are not, and I love the way they all kind of work together. I want them to kind of be an ombre effect, so I'm just kind of putting them in light to dark order, ready to go on the left hand side. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Waffle Flower grip mat. This is the 6.5 by 8.5 because I'm using quite a large stencil today. So once I've stuck that down to my glass mat, I love the fact that with the grip mat you can then use your lines on your glass mat to help line up your cardstock and your stencils. So I have a piece of Wow White Superior Smooth cardstock, and I've already cut that down to 4.25 by 5.5 inches. I'm just using my anti-static powder bag just to make sure that there's no grease or any static on the cardstock, and then I'm able to just work out where I want my stencil and tack that in place on the grip mat. I'm also going to add some mint tape. This is a low tack tape because I only want one line of the cats, and I'm being careful to make sure that the mint tape is only touching the stencil and not the cardstock underneath. I don't want any of the sticky residue from the tape to cause any kind of static or stickiness on the card underneath. So I'm now just going to use my blending brush with the Wow embossing ink. I find that using a blending brush is a great way of applying embossing ink through a stencil. It ensures that you get a really lovely even coverage, and it gets into all of those detailed elements in the stencil as well. And then I'm able just to peel the whole thing off. As I peel my grip mat off, it just releases the cardstock, and then I'm just going to place it over a scrap of white paper that I can then use to apply my embossing powders over the top. So first of all, I'm going to use that gorgeous Metalline First Frost, and I'm just going to tip it on the one little end of the cat, put the excess back in the pot, and then I can come in with my second colour. Now, because the embossing ink has trapped the first powder, when we put the second powder on the other cat, you can tip the excess off over the other cat that's already got the embossing powder on, and the other colour will fill in any gaps if there are any, but it means that it won't be sticking to any of the other areas that you don't want it to. So I'm just going to repeat this process for all of the different embossing powders that I'm using today. The order that I've used them in is Metalline Frost, Oceanside, Emerald City, All That Jazz, Laguna, and then Oceanic. So once they're all in on the cardstock, I'm then going to go ahead and just take a little paintbrush and get off any little bits of glitter that have strayed from the embossing ink. And then I'm going to heat my heat tool up on the hottest setting and heat set from underneath. Because there's glitter in these powders, I really don't want it to be blowing off the areas that have got the embossing ink. So heating underneath ensures you get a really smooth heat emboss and all the glitter stays where it should. Once it's started to hold, you can then quickly go over the top with your heat tool just to finish off the powder if there's any areas that have not melted, and then look at that shine and sparkle. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I love how these powders all look together. I think they look really, really pretty. So to finish our card off for today, I've got a white card blank, which is 4.25 by 5.5 inches. I've got a navy blue cardstock panel, which is slightly smaller than that. And then my cat panel is just a little bit smaller than that as well, so that we've got nice even borders around all of the layers. For my sentiment, I'm going to be using this All and Create stamp set today. It's called Had Me at Meow, and I'm going to be using the sentiment that says you had me at meow. So I really love this stamp set. I think it's absolutely beautiful, especially as a cat lover. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that sentiment out. Now, previously I've cut this stamp in half when I've used it on another project. So I'm going to bring in my stamping platform. I have a Sizzix sticky grid mat in my platform, so that'll hold my cardstock in place really nicely. And then I'm just kind of messing around trying to work out where the sentiment's going to go. And then I decided that actually using the acetate would just be a little bit easier to kind of really see how it would look. So I end up deciding to put it in that bottom right hand corner. So I'm just going to line it up nicely on the cardstock there, and then I'm going to bring my lid over to just trap that stamp. Make sure that it sticks together nicely, and then I'm going to use this gorgeous VersaFine Clair Twilight navy blue ink. So I've just inked that up twice so that we've got a nice crisp impression. Then I can remove it from this sticky grid, and then I'm just going to go ahead and add it to that matte layer. I'm just going to use some Clair glue that I've got in that mini glue bottle there. And I really love how this card turned out. I love how simple it is because I really think it makes the embossing powders shine. And I just love the way that all those colours really work so beautifully together. So once I've got that all in place and stuck down to my card blank, I can then just go and add a few little gems just to finish it off. And these are just some lovely flat back sequins from acolorfullifedesigns. So I'm just going to use my wax pencil and some Cosmic Shimmer glue just to attach those down. So thank you so much for joining me today on the Wow Embossing channel. I really hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that it's given you some inspiration and encouraged you to dig out those coloured embossing powders and give them a go. Use what you've got in your stash, and remember, you could do this in any colourway you want. You could make it a rainbow, you could use different colours all together and just create a really random effect. But yeah, dig out those powders. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Wow Embossing channel if you're not already. And leave me a comment below. I'd love to see what you think of this card. As always, all the products that I've used will be linked in the description box below. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.